Hey everybody, I'm Skullstream, and we're going to talk today about 5 technical tips that are going to change your life as a streamer, and I do not exaggerate. I'm also going to be recording this video at my PC this time versus the vlogging camera the last time. Okay, so our first actual tip that doesn't include protesting over headphones is going to be Chatty. Now, Chatty is awesome, and I'll explain why here. Okay, so this is a glimpse of Chatty, and this is what it can do for you. You can put it on another monitor and make it take up the entire screen. And then the really nice part is you can adjust how large the text is so that you can see it. So as soon as a message pops up that somebody sends you in chat, you immediately are tuned to receiving that message. So your response time is like instant. It's fucking great. Second great thing about Chatty is that it lets me do something that's really hard for me to remember to do. Now, have you ever gotten a raid or a host while you're live on stream and you have to remember to go follow the person that raided or hosted you? Or if you want to do it on the spot, you have to go through like 5, 6, 7 different menus. It's hard to do. Now, Chatty makes this really easy because you can just right click somebody's name and go down to miscellaneous and then hit follow. So you can follow them on the spot. You could also ignore their chat if you want. If you have one of those primary offenders in chat that annoys you and you just really don't want to read what they have to say, but what they say isn't really like a bannable offense, there's an ignore for that now. Okay, another really cool thing about Chatty I'm going to show you right here. If you want to do any moderation actions, Chatty makes it as easy or easier than Twitch chat does it. So you can use this as replacement for your Twitch chat. So check this out. If I left click somebody's name, it brings up this menu that allows me to ban, unban, time them out for however many seconds you want, mod or delete what they're saying, and it's fantastic. Also, if you go into main and then settings up here, you're going to find settings for messages and chat, and you're actually going to want to uncheck this if you're new to Chatty. It tells you who is entering and who's leaving chat, even if they're not talking. And it's not really a good thing to be aware of if you're a new streamer, so I highly recommend turning it off. Some of the other things that you could do, though, is you could adjust the chat colors. So you can adjust what messages look like, what highlights look like, what your messages from your bot look like in chat so that they pop really great. So you can see my Streamlabs messages here are green, unlike anything else. And it allows me to focus on people who have just followed the channel so that I can greet them and thank them. Another thing that it does is it lets you change the colors of the users in chat so that you can color code the people that are speaking. So like people that are subbed, people that are unsubbed, which is important in my own channel because we do giveaways and we give out subs to people that don't have them. And sometimes we'll run like a game of marbles, and at the end of the game of marbles, we'll either give somebody a sub, and people might not know who's subbed and who's not. So I could show them my Chatty screen, and it's an easy way for them to tell. And it's an easy way for me to gift out a sub myself as well to somebody that's not subbed. So anybody that's in red that isn't subbed, I can target them really easily, which is great. All right, we're going to do the secret sauce tip of the week now. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the secret sauce tips of the week, the secret sauce tips are tips that were unsolicited and they're not advertised in the title. They're tips that you get for nothing that will actually alter the entire game of streaming. And I try to throw in one of these secret tips every time I do a video. You can check out last week's over here. I think that's where it pops up. Yeah, let's talk about the secret sauce tip of the week. For this week. I was supposed to put that in earlier. The secret sauce tip of this week is perfection is a thief. And what that means is if you've been streaming for any length of time, you've probably spent a great deal of time adjusting your audio, which we'll actually talk about later. And you've probably spent a great deal of time adjusting your overlays. And I'm going to tell you something that's a little bit depressing to hear. And your overlays and your quality of your audio, they matter, but they only matter so much. You don't want to spend 90% of your time working on 10% of what actually matters to the quality of your stream. I'm going to tell you that personal connections are far more valuable and far more worth your time than are anything else. If you focus your time on those things, it'll be time much better spent than focusing 90% of your hours worked on your overlays, your alerts, and your audio. As long as your audio is good enough, people will be fine. And we're going to get you there later in this video. So if you like that tip and you like the first tip about Chatty and you never heard of Chatty before, maybe you did and you agree that it's useful, you do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. I am just getting started on all these. This is the second video that we've actually put out, and I really want to put out more content for you guys. Getting new streamers up to speed and making the process of learning what works in streaming and what doesn't a little bit less opaque and way more effective than if you don't have this information. All right, we're going to move on to our next tip now, and that tip is simply going to be run OBS in admin mode. And you guys might be asking yourselves, what the heck is admin mode? Let me show you. So if you go to your desktop, and you probably all have a link to OBS somewhere. It could be an icon on your desktop. It could be an icon down here. It's not going to matter. This method is always going to be the same. You're going to right click the icon. You're going to go to run as administrator. And when it gives you a prompt that asks you to say okay, you say okay. And what this does is it lets your CPU prioritize OBS so that you never drop frames, or you very rarely drop frames. So for anybody that's trying to stream at a very high bit rate and you drop frames sometimes, this should alleviate 90% of your problems, and it takes 2 seconds to do. So our next tip is going to be about nested scenes. You can't see it. Okay. Nested scenes. That's a bird. It's a very terrible bird. But anyway. So what you can actually do is put like any little videos that you have to play or any of your alerts into one big scene and put that scene inside of another scene as a source. So let's go back into OBS and I will show you how to do this. Okay. So here is my OBS window here. So if I hit the plus sign and I go to add and then scene, and I go to add existing, I scroll down to videos, that's just going to be the path that lets me add all of those videos, those 20 videos, all in one action, which is fantastic. It'll save you a ton of time and actually let you do some really creative things later too. So nested scenes. Let's talk about our next tip. Our next tip is going to be Reaper software. This is going to be the stuff that makes your audio sound amazing. And to do this whole tutorial, I'm actually going to use a very popular microphone. Not one that I typically use for streaming, but one that I keep on reserve. Just in case anybody asks, we're going to be using a Blue Yeti. A lot of y'all probably have this in your room somewhere. A lot of y'all probably use this to stream. I'm going to show you how to get this to sound amazing.
Okay, so what you're listening to now is the raw audio of a Blue Yeti USB microphone with nothing between it and the USB connection. It should sound pretty bad. So we're going to discuss very quickly how to make it a lot better. So the first thing you want to do is click down here in wherever your microphone source is, this cogwheel, and you want to go to filters. And you want to add these filters in this order. If you don't add them in this order, they're going to sound a lot different. So the first one you add is OBS's noise suppression module. And all OBS's noise suppression does is it takes repetitious sound, so things like fan noises, key presses, things like breathing noises and wind, all that low rumbling sound, and it tries to factor all of those out as best it can. So we're going to turn that on. You're going to notice an immediate change in the audio. And the second one we're going to add is the VST REA gate standalone. Now to add this, you're going to go to the plus sign. You're going to go to VST2 plugin. You're going to hit OK. And then you're going to select this drop down here that says REA gate standalone. And the reason we're going to add the REA gate is because the regular OBS gate isn't that good. And the REA gate one is amazing. And after you add the filter, you're going to notice an immediate difference. And what you can actually do is adjust the plugin. So when you hit open plugin interface, it's going to open this menu. And if you want to set your gate, all you're going to need to make sure to do is that this left slider here is set above your quiet room, i.e. what your room sounds like when you're not speaking and when you're not clicking a mouse or anything like that. If I take it back just above where my room's noise floor is, that's going to be where we want to set it. Okay, when you're done with that, you can close out of that. And the next one we're going to add is VST compressor. You're going to add it the same way. You're going to hit plus, VST plugin, okay. You're going to go to the drop down, and you're going to look for REA compress. There are two compressors. There's a comp and an X-comp. X-comp is much more complicated. You don't need it. I would recommend you just go with REA comp standalone. So you add that, you open the plug interface, and then you adjust it as needed. So here's how compressors work. They have the same kind of threshold. And what it does is when you go above the threshold, it's going to compress any sound that's above it back down. The threshold for this one should be just below what you sound like when you're really loud. So, you know, and loud on average, not like scream as loud as you can 2 inches from the microphone. Don't start with that. Just make the loudest noise that you usually do while you're on stream and set the threshold just below that. And your ratio, again, I just recommend starting at 4:1, but you can tune it higher or lower as you see fit as well. All right. The next one we're going to add is an EQ, and the EQ is going to make it sound amazing. Your EQ is going to be added the same way as the last two were, so I'm not going to go through that process again. But you should notice an immediate and amazing difference in the quality of the voice. This is with it off. This is with it on. This is on, and this sounds amazing. This is going to be different for everybody, depending on what your voice sounds like. This is what my EQ looks like right now. And all you're going to do is take these little dots that it should have set for you, and you're going to drag them around. And I don't recommend, if you're not into audio, I don't recommend doing anything specific. I just recommend playing around with them and seeing what sounds good. You might actually spend like an hour or two adjusting this, but it's going to be a lot less time than somebody doing it with hardware, which I use, or somebody doing it any other way. So just play with it, see what sounds good for your voice. Everybody's voice is a different tone. Mine tends to be more bassy. That's why you see these on the low end of this left side here. That's why it goes up really high, and the right side is very, very low. That's pretty much it. So what we're gonna need to do is add one more filter, and this is just an OBS standard. We need to add one more filter to get it as loud as we need it to be, and that's gonna be gain. And again, same thing. You're gonna go to plus, you're gonna add gain. And then you're gonna slide it up and down based on how loud you need it to be. And that's it. Those are all of your audio tips. That's how you get a microphone going from sounding like this and being really noticeably unprofessional, and you get that to going to sounding like this, which is sound a lot better. And this is how you do it in like less than half an hour. So you could play around again with the EQ a lot. You could play around with your compressor a lot, but this will get you 90% of the way, and that's really what you should be worried about as a streamer.
All right, so that was the Reaper software. And again, I asked if you guys found that helpful, and if you have a friend that uses a USB microphone that you really want them to sound a lot better, just Send that over to him. It'll get him in the right place in 20 seconds. All right, here's our final tip of this video, and that tip is called ZoomIt. So ZoomIt is a piece of software that'll make you able to commentate like John Madden. And if you guys aren't football fans, don't worry, I will explain right now. All right, so this is what ZoomIt lets you do. If you have something on the screen, if you have something that you want to commentate over, ZoomIt lets you hit Control-2 and draw all over it. And as soon as you want to get rid of it, you can just hit escape and it goes away. Now, you could do this in video games and it'll actually pause the scene for you. It's super useful. Now let's show you how it works. Now, number one, this works best if the video game that you're playing is in windowed mode. So I'm going to start Dark Souls and it's going to be in windowed mode. I'm going to show you how this works. And all you need to do to download ZoomIt is follow that link down below. Download the zip file. And what it's actually going to do is it lets you run the exe from the zip file. And that's all you need. As long as it's running from the zip file and it's down in your system tray here at the bottom of the screen. See, this is ZoomIt. It's like a note. It looks like a window with a magnifying glass over it and it says ZoomIt on it. When that's active, ZoomIt is working. And ZoomIt lets you do two things. You already saw me draw over them. ZoomIt also lets you zoom. Believe it or not. Go figures. ZoomIt, zooming into things. So, the default binding for zooming into things is Control-1. So if I hit Control-1, it's going to freeze my game's frame. It's going to take a screenshot, and then I'm going to be able to mouse wheel up and down on it. So if I want to zoom in on something in a video game that's like hilarious, so let's go generate a hilarious moment right now. I don't know what my sprint key is. Stabbed. I don't know where that sword is going. I know exactly where that sword is going, so. That's what ZoomIt lets you do, as long as you're creative. That's one thing that it lets you do. Let's talk about the second thing. All right, the second thing that ZoomIt lets you do is commentate like John Madden. So let me find an enemy here. Also, like for Dark Souls, because Dark Souls is amazing. All right, we have ourselves an enemy. So I hit Control-2 and it froze the frame for me, and now I'm going to be able to draw over the frame. This is going to be useful for anybody that wants to add commentary to their games and snapshot a moment and then draw on it, or explain plays, or explain things that are going on. Or for anybody that does explicative content like this, where they can stop and then draw on things. Stabbed in the ass. So that's it, guys. Those are my 5 tips for this week. They're technical tips. They're going to change your life as far as streaming goes. They're going to let you do a lot more creative things, and they're going to make your stream run smoother. And these are tips that you don't usually hear out there in the world. So if you liked it, please please subscribe. I'm just getting this channel off the ground now, and it really helped me out. So thank you, and I will see you next Monday. Oh, and if you want to check me out live on Twitch, I am much more vulgar than I am here. We're live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you can usually find me playing something like Doom Eternal is coming out, not an advertisement. But I'm usually playing stuff like Doom, Dark Souls, all those games that you see on my desktop up there. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next week.